a very exciting presentation for you. In front of us, you see a man, Mr. Palmer. He's our guest speaker. Say hi, Mr. Palmer. Give him a warm welcome. All right. The thing about Mr. Palmer is this: he is a Clipper. Clipper, not the class of 22 or 23 or 25. This is a really difficult number for me to say. He's the class of 87. So as a Clipper, he is basically saying he's one of you, and he has a pathway to success right here. He's going to be sharing what he did to where he's at. So I'm not going to explain anything about him. He's going to tell you a story. What I want you guys to get is this: there are different voices in the world, and sometimes you only hear one type of voice. We're giving you a diverse voice. You can learn from different types of people. And that's why I like to value diversity. I got my diversity club here. So I like you guys to value this. And so I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Palmer, and he's going to give you a voice. And then what I like to do is maybe if the last 10 minutes, if you have any question about how to get there and how to do what he's doing and stuff like that, you can ask him that, okay? So take it away, Mr. Palmer.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, members of the FHS Diversity Council, and thank you, Falmouth High School, for allowing me to speak to you guys today. Here's some questions I want you guys to think about. You no need to answer them right now. And number one is, if I asked you if you feel important, what would your answer be? Number two is, if I told you that your family needs you, your community needs you, that the world needs you, what would you think? Well, I'm going to tell you, you're important. You all matter a great deal. That's one of the reasons why I'm here today. The world needs good people like you more than ever. You see, we're all part of something bigger than ourselves. You matter. I grew up in Falmouth just like you. I was you. I am you. And like you, I'm still a work in progress. The only difference is I graduated in 1987, and that was a long, long time ago. See, I was a normal kid with dreams and aspirations, and now I'm an adult with dreams and aspirations. I am and I was the son of a single mother. I owe my mother a debt of gratitude for shaping me and sacrificing so much to make me a better person. That being said, be thankful for everyone doing that for you now. Your parents, your family, your teachers, and anyone else, seen, unseen, who are doing things on your behalf. Just be thankful in general. It's okay to want more, but appreciate what you have. Gratitude keeps you grounded and focused. So I'd like to start off with a little story today. So it was January this year. I hadn't been feeling well for weeks. I woke up one night with a pain in my chest, like no pain I'd ever had before. I couldn't catch my breath. So I went to the emergency room, and after some tests, a doctor entered the room and she said, "Mr. Palmer, we're going to admit you have blood clots in your lungs." And then she just left the room. So remember, this was January. This is like the height of the pandemic. So you couldn't have anyone in the hospital with you. So my wife had just dropped me off at the hospital. So I was there by myself. So I was in this room alone with just my thoughts. And my mind went back to a conversation I'd had the night before with a coworker and friend whose daughter had died from the same exact thing that I was suffering from. So I was like, is this it? Am I going to die here among strangers? Am I going to see my family again? So you know how they say your life replays for you when you're about to die? Well, that's not what happened to me. What I saw was every missed opportunity to tell someone that I loved them, that I appreciated them, that I was sorry for something. And furthermore, every opportunity that I had to do something that I hadn't done, something that I may have been afraid to do, or things that I just might have pushed off, or things I might have been able to do if I just pushed a little harder and asked more questions and sought some help. So what opportunities were there for the taking that I missed out on? What promises did I make to others? And more importantly, what promises did I make to myself that remained unfulfilled? So I need you to ask yourself these things when you're thinking about giving up on something or quitting on something. So I thank God, modern medicine, family, and a positive outlook that I'm here today to talk to all of you. You see, I'm not taking anything for granted. And least of all, I'm not taking you guys for granted because this is important. So this is my opportunity. I'm going to take this opportunity to pass on some of the things that I've seen and learned. So who am I? So as you know, my name is Jerry Palmer. I currently live in the very diverse city of Houston, Texas, where it's now 70 degrees. Here in Houston, I work for Radio One, which is part of a larger company called Urban One. My title is Regional Traffic Director. We're a Black-owned company. We are the largest distributor of urban content in the country. Urban in this context means Black. At Urban One, our slogan is, we represent Black culture. We reach over 80% of Black America through Radio One, TV One, Reach Media, our digital outlets like Interactive One. And by my calculation, that's about 37 million people. And that's just African Americans. That's influence, because as we know, this culture, particularly among young people, usually sets the trends for what becomes mainstream. So a little bit more about Radio One. The company was founded in 1980 by an African-American woman and a single parent named Kathy Hughes. Miss Hughes, as we call her, is currently the chairperson of the board, and her son, Alfred Liggins, is the CEO. So if you want to hear a story about determination and the American dream against all odds, look up Miss Kathy Hughes. She's one of my heroes. So a little bit more about me. I started to work for Radio One. I first worked for them in 1986. I was at our headquarters at the time in Washington, D.C. We were a much smaller company then. There was no TV One. There was no Interactive One. It was just us, Radio One. We rented space in the back of a TV station. That was fun. And we were all crammed into this tiny little space back there, but we worked hard. We were a long way from the corporate publicly traded company we are today. I think at that time we had about 6 radio stations. Today we have about 70 across the country. I did then what I do now on a different level. I managed with the help of many, many hardworking people, commercial inventory, among a lot of other things. Commercial advertising is the lifeblood, along with content, is the lifeblood of any media enterprise. For lack of a better term, ads pay the bills, commercials pay the bills, and that's how we make money. So my group is the unseen, get things done people, and we usually remain unseen until something goes wrong. We touch every part of the business. We touch administration, programming, promotion, sales, engineering, IT. We touch everything. You see, there are a lot of unseen people in the media. In fact, most of the people in media are unseen. Not everyone talks on a microphone or stands in front of a camera, but those people are just as important as the people who do that. So that's the short story of what I do today. But how did I get from where you are to here? That's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I want to let you know that there are opportunities that you may not even realize are out there. So this series is called Pathways to Success, right? So, well, I had a long winding path. It wasn't a straight line, but I'm here today, so let's talk about it. So opportunity. Opportunity is defined as a good chance for advancement or progress. So I'd like to share with you guys some of the times where opportunity presented itself and I was able to take advantage of it. But first, I just want to give you a little bit more background. You see, when I was a kid growing up in Falmouth in the 70s and 80s, the world seemed small and big at the same time. You see, there was no internet, et cetera. But in that sense, the world seemed smaller. But the absence of all those things made the world seem larger to me because there was a lot of stuff I didn't know. I didn't have the same benefits that you guys have. So I read a lot. I love going to the library. My mother made sure I read things that I wasn't assigned in school, authors like James Baldwin and Richard Wright. You can look those guys up if you want to. I was a pretty good student. I was one of those kids that was smart enough to know what to do and how to work within the system. I tested really well, but I'll admit I could have worked harder. Nevertheless, when my senior year came around, I had plenty of choices on what I could do. My mother had made it pretty clear that I needed to go to an HBCU. So for those who don't know, HBCU stands for Historically Black College or University. My mother had attended one herself, and having raised me here, she felt there were certain things that I needed to be exposed to. So I set my sights on Morehouse College. Morehouse College is an all-male HBCU in Atlanta, Georgia. It's situated near an all-female HBCU called Spelman College. Some notable alumni you might know of from Morehouse are people like John David Washington, Samuel L. Jackson, Spike Lee, and this other guy named Martin Luther King Jr. So off I went to Atlanta, Georgia. Now keep in mind, I didn't make any college visits. There was no internet. My only knowledge of Morehouse was gleaned from books, word of mouth, and my imagination. I was scared, but it was basically just the fear of the unknown. You guys might be afraid of the unknown, but just know this, conquering that fear empowers you, but it also opens up a world of possibilities. So it was the late 80s. It was a great time to be young, especially at an HBCU. The environment is like no other environment. Just look up HBCU marching bands and step shows, you'll see what I mean. So I get to Morehouse and my mind was blown. There were people who looked like me everywhere, but there were people who didn't look like me too. There were kids with golf clubs, tennis rackets, boom boxes. Yeah, I said boom boxes. There were dreads, high top fades, waves, bald heads, you get it, you know, everything. The students were from like every state in the country, overseas. We were alike, but we weren't alike. But that confirmed what I already knew, that Black people are not all the same, nor do we have to be. We don't have to all act alike. We don't all think alike. But that freshman year at Morehouse was a great year. The professors were supportive. The camaraderie among students at a school that small is just incredible. I made a lot of lifelong friends, but I decided that summer that I was going to transfer to a school closer to home. So that summer, I visited and toured the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. See, Howard University is another HBCU. It's a lot larger than Morehouse. There's a long, notable list of alumni from Howard. There's Chadwick Boseman, Taraji P. Henson, Toni Morrison, Thurgood Marshall, and Kamala Harris, the vice president. That list just goes on and on and on. So while touring the campus, one school in particular caught my eye, and that was the School of Communications. So when I entered that building, something told me that that was where I wanted to be, and that was where I was supposed to be. There was just studios, production equipment. You know, you could just feel the energy, the creative energy in the air in that school. So fast forward, while at Howard, I was required to complete an internship. So this is where I learned if you put yourself in the right place and let people know what you're interested in, that sometimes opportunity will find you. You see, one of my favorite professors at Howard was named Ernie Fears. He had been very successful in the radio business. He was one of the many father figures that I adopted over the years and that adopted me as well. I sought him out often. I asked a lot of questions, but more importantly, I listened to his answers and I applied that knowledge to my own life and in my classes. So much so that when the time came to find an internship, I found that Professor Fears had already identified one for me and made the calls necessary to secure it for me. You see, he had access to people and things that I didn't have access to. But by knowing him and letting him know what I was interested in, it gave me the access that he had. So I ended up interning at this station called WMZQ. Believe it or not, it is a country station in Washington, D.C., very popular at the time. That internship was my first real introduction to the inner workings of a commercial radio station. And it gave me the fundamentals of what I still do today. So after graduating from Howard University in 1991, I went through a few jobs, all in the Washington, D.C. area, all in the media field. I worked at a public access TV station as a clerk. And then from there, I found my way to my first real radio job. And that was at this station called WHFS FM. At the time, that was, remember, it was the early 90s. That was a legendary alternative rock station in the DC area. And I got that job based on a recommendation and another phone call from Professor Fears. So once again, if you put yourself in the right place and let people know what you want or need, sometimes the opportunity is going to find you. So about 18 months, year and a half later, I moved on from there to this company called Infinity Broadcasting. I worked at station WJFK FM, also in DC. That was a talk radio station that featured Howard Stern and G. Gordon Liddy. You can look him up too. Interesting person. So all through this, I was just seeking challenges and advancement. I was soaking up knowledge from everyone. I didn't take any relationship for granted. Small, big, didn't matter. I would talk to vice presidents of radio groups or the receptionists. The important thing was I listened to all of them and I respected all of them. It didn't matter. So pretty soon I was promoted by Infinity to a radio station in the Baltimore area. And then my first job, WHFS, asked me to come back, where I replaced my boss who had moved on. So I was back at WHFS for less than a year, where my new boss and my mentor was hired by Radio One, and she brought me with her. And that was in 1996. All of that happened in 5 years. So that may seem a lot, but in our business, opportunities don't come along often. You have to be ready and willing to take what you can get in order to use the opportunities that you do see as a springboard to bigger and better things. No one starts at the top, well, hardly anyone. So after 3 years at Radio One, it was around 1999, I started to feel a little antsy. So I'm always looking for challenges. So it was 1999, the internet was exploding. It was a new thing and people were getting rich. They were going to work for these startup companies in the internet. So one day I saw the small ad in the help wanted section of a newspaper. You guys might not have ever seen a newspaper, but in the ad was very vague. It said something like internet company looking for a traffic manager or something like that. So it kind of piqued my interest. I knew nothing about working with the internet, but I knew the traffic business. So I interviewed and I got that job with the company, and it was called Conducent Technologies. What they did was pretty cutting edge for the time. The company's founder had been instrumental in the development of what became the commercial internet. So it was a great place to be and learn. But like most startups at that time, the company folded within 2 years. And the fun fact about that is that I was one of the last employees left at Conducent. By the time I left, there were only 4 of us left. So even the message here is, though, even though we failed to set out in what we did, I still point to those 2 years as instrumental in making me fearless about change and embracing and pushing for new technologies in the workplace. It also made me learn how to adapt quickly. And that's just important when you're working out here, especially nowadays. So the message here is sometimes you've got to take chances, even if you don't think you're ready. I was really intimidated when I joined Conducent. These were some smart people. And like I said, I'd never worked in this business before. But what I found out was at Conducent was that if you stretch your wings, you'd be surprised at how high you can really fly. Even though we didn't accomplish what we set out to accomplish, the journey and what I learned was worth it. So after that experience, I was out of work. I had a severance package they gave me when I left Conducent, and then Radio One called and they said, we have a job for you in Richmond, Virginia. I'd never been to Richmond. I didn't lose anything in Richmond. I wasn't happy about going to Richmond, but I had a family to feed, so I went to Richmond. So the lesson here is don't burn bridges. That means when you leave a job or a business agreement, leave on good terms. finish strong, and be nice to people on the way out, because you may see those people again. The media business, the business I'm in is a small world. I see the same people all the time in different places, and your reputation follows you wherever you go. Also, what I learned was when your back is against the wall, do what's necessary. You see, Richmond wasn't ideal for me at the time, but it was my way back into the radio business. It turned out to be a great place to live and work, and it led me to Houston. So case in point, I had been in Richmond for about 5 years when I was tasked with helping out other markets with technical issues, personnel issues, et cetera. And Houston happened to be one of those places. You see, Houston is our #1 market in our company in terms of revenue, and it's just the place to be. And it turned out that Houston was being run by someone I knew from my very first job at WHFS. Talk about a small world. So this person knew my reputation, and soon he asked us to move to Houston, which we did. You see, I had a lot of preconceived notions about Texas. We did. Most of them turned out to be wrong. Houston has been really good to us, despite the terrible pro football team they have here. Our kids have grown up here, and they thank us all the time for making the move. We have 3 grandkids who are authentic Texans. And the best part about that is that I was able to attend and complete law school. That was a long time dream of mine. I attended the University of Houston, which has one of the best part-time law school programs in the country. And I don't think that would have happened if I hadn't made it here. I completed law school in 2011. That was exactly 20 years after I completed college. So you see, adults still have dreams and aspirations. It never ends. So there it is. See, opportunity awaits you. Sometimes you just have to look for it. Sometimes you have to look in unconventional places. Sometimes you'll find it, but you have to be open to it. Sometimes it'll find you and you have to be ready and open to it. So all I'm gonna say is get after it, no matter what it is. So now in closing, I got 5 words for you. The first 2 are for your mind, and those are be prepared. I mean, be prepared for anything and everything. Keep your mind open to possibilities and opportunities. Pay attention and listen. Think hard before you say no. Think hard before you say yes, because not everything is what you think it is. Seek counsel. And by this, I mean, I've always asked for help in making decisions from friends, family, teachers, mentors. People will help you because you matter to them. You matter to me. And once you make a decision about something, you have to own it, because at that point, it's yours. You own it. Make the most of it. So those 2 words are for your head, and they are be prepared. And the last 3 words I have for you guys are for your heart, and they are don't be afraid. Be thankful, be well, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much. So, very much, Mr. Palmer. We got a couple of minutes, and what I would like to do is this. There are some reproduction students here. There's some diversity students here. They may want to ask some questions for you, Mr. Palmer. So I need you, the only way you can hear me is you have to come up right here. So anyone brave enough to come on up here and ask him a question about, come on up. Fantastic, we got our first person here. Just say your name when you come up here, and then you address Mr. Palmer. We got our first one. The next person can come up here. So come right here, and you can. Yeah, you can say.
Hi, my name is Colin.
Hello.
Hi. I was gonna ask, when you were in high school, did you have like an idea about what you wanted to do, or did you not know at all?
I wasn't sure. My original plan was I wanted to go to law school. So I wanted to go to college, and I wanted to major in political science, I think it was. And I wanted to eventually go to law school. You know, I did do that, but it was a long path. And it wasn't, and that's what I'm trying to tell you guys, is that the path isn't always straight, you know, and, you know, sometimes, you know, you have to take detours here and there, but it's all well worth it.
Good question.
I hope that answered your question.
That was, did I answer it? Yeah. Excellent. All right, who's got another one? That was the first. First one's always the hard one. All right, come on up. Come on up. All right. Yeah, say your name and then give out your question. All right, right here. Go right in front, right there.
Hi, I'm Kaylee.
Hello.
And I was just wondering why you decided to go back for your law degree after. Was it because you kind of had that in your mind from when you were in
Absolutely.
high school, or?
Absolutely. It was a dream deferred, you know, and sometimes life will make things difficult for you, but I never let go of it.
Okay, excellent. So there's never a time, there's education, there's never an end to education, I take it.
Never ends.
Okay, all right, I wanna make
Never
sure.
ends.
Come on up, Lucy, let's go. Let's go, here we go. Say your name and give me the question.
Just my name.
Say your name.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Lucy Jeremiah Sexton,
Hello.
and I'm 17. I'm from Florida too, so I understand like the South. But I just wanted to ask, what are some projects during your life that you would say boosted you right now? Any important projects that you've done that have gotten you closer to where you wanted to be?
So do you mean like in school, or do you mean like
Just in
work
life, after
project?
school.
No, I would just say, you know, just expose yourself to as much as you can. You know, you want to be well-rounded. You know, I know we live in a world where people specialize in things, you know, but if you're well-rounded, I mean, you can do almost anything. If you're well-rounded, you're willing to learn, you know, always be open to suggestions from people. You know, it's always difficult when you run across people who know everything already, you know, and I'm always of the feeling that I don't act like I know everything. You just be an open book, whatever's out there, you know, just soak it all in, you know. So I hope that answered your question.
I love it, I love it. Who's got the next one? Who's got the next one? You got the next one? Oh yeah, my boy, come on up. Okay, all right. Sit down here. Say your name, and we'll go from there. Here you go. There you go.
Good one.
Right there.
My name is Robert J, and the question I wanted to ask you was like, do you have anybody who like supported you, like always trying to keep you in check or anything like that?
Keep you in check. Oh, I like that.
You mean,
Thank you.
help me understand the
Oh,
question.
you're gonna come here. This is good. This is a good question. All right, go ahead.
I mean, like say perhaps you stop doing your work, like just stop studying, like.
Oh, did I have people keeping me on the straight and narrow?
Yes.
Yeah, like just keep you going.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. There's some people sitting in this room right now who keep me on the straight and narrow right now. But that being said, you heard me. I mentioned my mom a lot, you know, and I can't thank her enough. You know, I wasn't always happy with what she required me to do, or but I thank her now. And it's also important to surround yourself with friends who push you, who are supportive, who are positive, who will hold you accountable. You know, I have friends to this day who I call and they're honest with me. You know, they're not going to tell me what I want to hear. They're going to tell me what I need to hear. So that is extremely important.
Thank you. Choose your friends, people. Choose your friends. And I see you. So come on up and you're next. All right. Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on down. Come on over here. All right, here we go. Almost done?
Hi, my name's Anna, and I was wondering, so Howard is in DC, and you mentioned that you did your internships and networking in DC. Was it easier for you to do networking in the big city than it would have been outside the city?
I think so. Absolutely. I mean, naturally, there's more people, so there's more outlets. You know, there's more people that you can come into contact with. So I would say yes. But you guys also have tools that we didn't have then. You know, I didn't have the internet. So I had to, you know, the internet, you know, when I had to research something, it was my own 2 feet. And I had to go look for it. So yes and no. Then it was necessary, maybe not so much now. You have it all at your fingertips.
Excellent. Thank you. Here we go. Any name?
Hi, my name's Camille, and I was wondering, you mentioned before how you were a young kid with hopes and dreams and stuff, and now you're still a grown man with hopes and dreams. So what are your current hopes and dreams for the
Good.
future?
Good. That's cool.
There are still things that I haven't, that I want to accomplish in the workplace that I haven't accomplished. There are things that, when you get to be my age, you start to think about what's going to happen, down the line when you stop doing what you're doing. So for me, absolutely, I have hopes and dreams and aspirations. I mean, there are things that I still want to accomplish. I want to talk to kids like you. I'd like to help kids like you, and these are things that, now that my kids are adults and they're older, it's things that I have time to do. So that's one of my dreams and aspirations.
Excellent. Mr. Palmer, I'm way up back here, so I hope you can hear. We got a student that's back here. Can you hear me? Mr. Palmer, can you hear me?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
good. All right, here's the question.
I noticed that you mentioned a couple of times that you didn't have a very straight path. I was wondering if you at all doubted yourself or had doubts of getting to where you wanted to go.
Yes.
Oh,
We
okay.
all, that's natural. We're human beings. We're all going to have doubts. You're going to doubt yourself all the time. But like I said, sometimes you just got to put yourself out there. Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't like I ran headlong into things and just was like, oh, I got this. No. I doubted myself a lot. And it still happens to this day. But that's what I was talking about, how you ask for advice, you seek counsel, you talk to your friends, you talk to people who you can trust, you run things by people. Hey, is this a good idea? So.
All right, this is the last question. The bell's gonna ring, but this one's important. So here's the last one. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Adrian.
Hi.
My question was, how was it for you to grow up Black in Falmouth?
How was it?
Yes.
Well, back then it might have been a little bit different. There was a lot of it was a lot of being the only person doing certain things, and like I said, the 70s and 80s, it was a little different. The world wasn't, like I said, the world was a lot smaller then. People weren't always exposed to the things that they're exposed to nowadays. So sometimes it was difficult because people didn't always, they didn't know what we know now. You guys are exposed to a whole lot more, so you might be a little more open-minded about certain things. But overall, it was just important to have a network of people to support you. And I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. I am thankful that I grew up where I did. I'm thankful that I went to Falmouth High School.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Palmer. They all have to go to lunch and stuff. Thank you so much, guys. You guys can go right now. I appreciate that. Mr. Palmer, it is a pleasure. That was a lot of wisdom, and we want you to come back here and be face to face and talk to some of the kids maybe next year. That'll be
next time I will do that.
Okay, I
will do
appreciate
that.
that. Thank you so much.